Welcome to the Scottish Property Podcast. This is a show where we aim to educate, inspire and entertain through real life stories and interviews from people in the Scottish property community.
As always, thanks for listening and give us a follow on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Remember to join us at our monthly networking events on the first Wednesday of every month. Tickets are available on our website. So without further ado, we'll just cut straight into this week's podcast. Craig Gallagher from Quinnergy, it's a pleasure to have you in the studio.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much, Nick.
Looking forward to this chat, mate.
Yes, me too.
One of the most famous property contractors on social media all over.
Got to be the best branding in Scotland when it comes to who do you get your property compliance from in Scotland?
Absolutely.
Who do you use?
Well, obviously, it's been a long relationship right from the start, mate. Yeah. And obviously, I will talk very highly of you. We use Quinnergy ourselves for letting agency. I'm very brand loyal. You guys have grown a lot.
We have, the challenges.
With the challenges as well, but we all work together and we get through them and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I suppose, like, if you think of it, I mean, to touch a wee bit on what we do, like, we provide like simplicity for you guys kind of thing, but when you grow, that simplicity sometimes changes or diverse. Do you know what I mean? Like, my engineers can't always be like me and look at it from your point of view. That's what I try to do, is look at our clients' needs and try and focus on that. But we've nearly got 34 engineers now. They've all got their own personalities and they've all got their own challenges, and most of them just want to go home. Do you know what I mean? So they're in and out and they're trying to, like, they don't look at it from your point of view. Now, I remember when we go back ages ago, the thing that stumbled on us was our guys were changing CO detectors, remember? There and then on properties, and what was happening is maybe the landlord had fitted their own and it maybe wasn't the right one, and we were going in and fitting it and charging yous, and it was causing a big stink because the landlord thought they had the right one in and it wasn't, and stuff like that. But then it was making us go back to replace them and making all that time. So that was an actual nightmare for you. I remember that being an actual nightmare for you. And we were thinking we were doing something good, but it was actually creating a massive knock-on effect. So.
How did you keep that? Because you've bailed me out the past with my fucking nightmare property in Cumbernauld. Remember you came from that. Like, Craig's guys came down, bailed me out a bad experience. That personal growth when your businesses are that size is easy for you to go, I'm going to help Nick, I'm going to help Stephen, the guys are good, we've got a working relationship. What happens when your business grows to that point when there's now 34 engineers, and how do you keep that small business kind of, I'm keeping my landlords and investors all happy at the same time? I mean,
that's the struggle I'm having genuinely right now. The last couple of months has been very difficult because we are at a certain size. And
what scale are you at the moment in terms of, like, number of employees, number of vans? Like, how do you gauge your business? What's your turnover?
I know this. I was this morning.
Did you?
2.5 million in the last 10 months, and I've still got a couple of months to go at the end of the year.
That's it.
Fucking boom, mate.
So my target for this year was 2.2, right?
Nice.
So we did 1.2, 1.2 last year, and we've doubled on year since starting. We're kind of 6 years in now. So that was a kind of target, and we've hit that now. So we've got over 30 vehicles in the fleet, and nearly 40 staff. And
half of them is smashed up with you driving them.
2 of them over there. The actual body shop we use is across the road.
Are most of them Transit MSRTs?
I've got to say, guys, if you're listening to this, right, and you must have seen the Quinnergy vans on the road, because it's the brightest, best branding, definitely. It's really, really smart.
And that's what we've tried to make as a brand, right? If you think of it, right, is when you're going into business, right, like Rolex don't sell watches, they sell like a status. Uber, they don't really sell taxi drives, they sell simplicity. So for us, we're the same as any other contractor. Like, we do everything in-house, like all the certificates in one go, but we're here to try and provide simplicity for the client. Do you know what I mean? That's what we're here to do. We're not here to be an electrical contractor or a gas guy or a plumber guy. We're here to cater for everybody's needs. Our clients range, like, I can't really say too many names, but one of our clients has got like 16,000 properties, right? One of the biggest letting agencies. Their needs are completely different for likes of yourself or like a smaller or even a medium size. What we do for them now is we actually have a member of staff that sits in their office full time, and we sign on to their software. Like, we do that remotely for people, but now we do that inside their office, and we are controlling all their compliance we've took that away from them. They've now got rid of 7 employees because of that one thing, for us putting one person in there. So when you look at that, then we have a kind of small letting agent, about 120 properties that have signed up for our complete package price. So they pay us monthly, and we maintain all their properties with all the certificates and all the maintenance. And there's that woman wanted to grow, and then she couldn't because a family member became ill and she had to take a back seat, but she didn't want to get rid of the business. But the one thing that she said that was holding her back was maintenance and compliance. So we took that away from her.
That's interesting. Like, how did you guys evolve with it? Because I remember we had the conversation a few months ago about the lead testing coming in, and I first thought of Quinnergy must be on the ball with that. Like, so I mean, I'm assuming you guys are now looking at.
So yeah, we're doing that. The problem is it's got to go to a lab, which takes it out of our control. So we are developing our own lab right now, but we're not going to say too much about it because there's quite a lot of red tape behind it.
Yeah. So I'm going to see you with a white coat and those big
I was going to say I've got glasses on, but I was.
Craig in his lab with the test tubes and all that.
But we're going to do it. We're going to get a container and it's got to be isolated. It's quite a lot to do it. And then we thought, there's no money in it.
No, it was cheap, wasn't it, when the prices you got?
But it's only a one-off.
And it's a one-off.
I'm assuming it's something that you're going to still provide.
I think we'll still provide, because what it does is we'll go out when we're doing maybe other stuff.
You better do, because I'm going to be relying on you to do it.
I think so. So we've talked about this, right?
Yeah.
We have done 5 in Maryhill, right? I'll not say the block, but it's a lead supply, right? And the lead pipes go all the way up to the tanks, and then the lead pipes go all the way back down to the properties, right?
So the whole lot is done.
So you would say 100%, done the test, sent them in, and he came back with no traces.
Can we just remind the listeners what we're talking about here? Because some listeners will probably be like, what the fuck are you talking about here?
Aye.
Right, so this is, obviously Craig is a compliance expert on rental properties, right? And we've already done a full episode which went into every, your
every
gas
detail.
safety, your electric, how often you need to do them, why you need to do them, where you need to do them. That's all been covered in a previous episode. I can't remember the exact number, but if you go back in the library...
By the way, it's about 2.5 years ago, maybe.
That's probably you need to just check that things haven't been updated. But the latest announcements by the Scottish Government are an update to the repairing standards for landlords. So having the lead test on your water, at your water supply in the kitchen, I think it is, or whatever. So
they say the furthest away outlet is what they're kind of, that's the guidance on it.
So you've got a test for lead in your water. So that's one of the things.
So
coming in March though? Is it coming in March? It's not coming in.
Yeah,
March,
2024.
So basically, we did these tests, we did these samples. But me personally, I went and done them. I took pictures of the lead pipes, seen them all, everything, right? Not lead effectively throughout the full house, but it's supplying the building and supplying the first outlet, or supplying the stopcock, and some of the property has been changed inside. So 100% lead, right? And the test came back that there was no traces.
That's interesting though, because I think a lot of people were maybe worried, because I had a couple of cases up in Aberdeen saying that people had done them testing and thinking, what, you're having to strip out all the lead in the place. This could be a costly repair.
So this is where people are asking me what happens here. So I know there's lead there, right? The tests have come back satisfactory. What happens? But also, what happens if it's a landlord of 10 flats, right? And 9 of so he owns one, rents it out, and 9 are owned by private people. Does he need to replace all that incoming pipe for that building because it's on his head?
Yeah, exactly.
So there's so many grey areas.
So it's a bit the kind of the boundaries and the lines are a bit blurred when it comes to when you do get a positive test results. What do you actually need to do then? Do you know what I mean?
And also,
it's not like the Scottish Government bringing legislation and not having to
know what's at the back of it. So the other one, we went to a water leak. It was last week, and it was main stopcock was leaking. We had to replace it, but it was lead coming in, and our guys were like, "I don't want to touch this. It'll cause a disaster." Phone Scottish Water saying we're not touching it as well. It's once it comes into the building, it's yours.
Right. So whilst we're on the boring stuff of the compliance, right?
We talked about
let's just get this out of the road. Then I want to get on to a bit of your journey in business, and then also in property as well, because you're also a property investor yourself. So RCD is the other one. in simple terms, just explain to
So
listeners.
RCD is like a secondary safety device, like residual current device. It basically trips your circuit if there's an imbalance between neutral and earth, right? So your MCB or a fuse protects for overcurrent, like if something hits a cable or something breaks or whatever, that'll trip. An RCD is looking at the finer things, right? So it's a bit more sensitive and it trips it. All new properties now will have this, but in the 17th edition of electrical wiring, which was like late 90s, early 2000s, is when they brought RCDs in. So when we go into any ICR, say that building was wired in the 90s, we test it to 1990s like regulations. So it can pass, it can be fine, and have no RCD protection, all right? What the Scottish Government are saying is at least one circuit in a rental property in Scotland has to have RCD protection, all right? So it can be any circuit, or it can be all circuits, but at least one has to be protected by RCD.
So in simple terms, are you expecting a lot of fuse box upgrades then?
Yeah,
Like,
because the problem is it's very difficult to retrofit RCDs into old boxes because you can't buy the parts, or when you start messing about with the electrical installation, you need to bring that full installation up to current standards. So then you need to do more. So effectively it is a fuse box
If we get a photo and send it to you of the fuse box, can you tell from that picture, looking at the fuses, if it's RCD?
or if it's a good EICR. So this is another thing, is what we are doing when we're evolving with clients. Right now we have over, it was about 1,200 last week. I think we're about 2,000 properties or pictures in EICRs that have been sent to us by letting agents or landlords saying, can you give us advice on this and what do we do?
Not a member of staff to go through their pictures.
He must be loving all this legislation and compliance stuff for landlords.
He's the only person that's loving this.
He's like, bring it on, Patrick Harvey, give me more.
The thing is, right, is we have no charge for looking at it.
Yeah.
Right? But now it's becoming massive. But this is what we do to build loyal and like a rapport. Do you know what I mean? So that people come back to us, we're helping them and they come back. It is big. So I've been looking at it at night and weekends, and there isn't a lot coming out of it, I'll be honest.
You've got a great life, mate. Reading up on this
It's
stuff at weekends, like while playing your house music records. That's another reason I like you as well.
I get videos of Nick dancing in his underwear, like in my videos. And I'm like, Nick, come on, my missus is watching this.
We'll need to get together, mate, and play some records.
Touching bums and that.
Sorry for pulling it in the compliance and away from Craig's story, because we were going to talk about your story.
But basically this thing, we are doing this to help our clients, right? And obviously so that they keep returning back to us. So the RCD thing is one of them, the lead test is another one, but we are here like to literally provide like simplicity for you guys, one-stop shop for letting agents and landlords, and that's basically what we do.
Cool.
Makes it easier.
You want to ask Craig a wee bit about his background and stuff like that, which we probably should have started with, but
let's go back, mate. Let's take it back to how you got started and where your career path took you before you started Quinnergy.
So short and sweet. School was horrendous for me. I had it was diagnosed with dyslexia, like kind of late on in school. So I just didn't do well. I had no ability to actually want to learn. I couldn't read nor write, and then but when we were growing up, you were just an idiot, or you weren't interested. So at a young age, I started doing stuff with my dad. My dad had pubs and nightclubs, so I used to go down there in the mornings before school and clean all the pipes, make money, and I used to make what you would call special brew. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. Really. Basically, when you cleaned all the pipes out, you'd get all the dregs and put it in a big pot, and then I would sell it to people outside
in the school.
I used to do things like that to make money. I used to like buy Chris off my dad in the pub and sell them in school and all that. So
did you ever make your own beer? I used to do that when I was a kid.
Did you
ever get? I got the kits from Boots. Boots the chemist did them.
I do remember that.
The beer kits, and they did wine as well. I made wine when I was about 16 as well.
I tried doing it, but I left it once in the shed. So I did it in my shed once, and I must have left it too long, and it fucking exploded.
Aye.
So
I'm just thinking of the listeners listening to this podcast right now, just checking their phones, going, "Is this a Scottish property podcast?"
I used to bottle it up in wee plastic bottles and take it into the toilets at lunchtime. I'd be selling it on a Friday afternoon.
I don't know if I can tell all the things that I used to do. I didn't do that, but
I'm sure Nick shouldn't be saying this either.
That was an Inverness, mate, so you can imagine
you can a lot more up there.
Go for it, I keep going.
Aye, so that then it kind of got me. I always had that buzz of just like getting out and about. So kind of flopped at school, and then got an apprenticeship as an electrician. My brother, his best pal, owned a big company. Got an apprenticeship in with him, and he kind of pushed me through just because I was family kind of thing. And stupidly, before even my time was out, I was finding scams inside his operation and different things. And I was made up as junior engineer, and what I had to go in was collect asset. I was an asset manager. And this was the time before barcodes came out to scan equipment for maintenance regimes. So I was effectively building all that up, and I found this really quick way of doing it, and I did it while we were doing pat testing. So I was making money doing pat testing per item and doing assets, and I was registering like 200 assets a day by about 11 o'clock, and then I was going home, and then I was selling football tops, and I had a car, I was valeting cars, I was doing all this.
Fake football tops?
Yeah. But there was no internet and all that kind of, so I was doing all that, and then a month later, so it was a month contract, and I get pulled into the office, and I was like, "We need to have a chat with you. Here's your timesheets. We've put in." I didn't know they were also charging me out per hour, as well as registering the assets, and I'd done like 12 hours in like 2 weeks, and they charged out fucking hundreds. So I get pulled in, I get made redundant instantly. So that was me on my arse again. So I just decided I'll go and be self-employed, and then started being an electrician. Then I get into property then. So I was 19, 20, so that was 23 years ago. I get into property then, and then I went for it big, bit like yous were doing. So buying, refurbing, refinancing. But I wasn't refinanced straight away. It wasn't like what we were doing back then. Refinance 6 months in, a year later, buying more. Just kept doing that. Got really big. Got involved with a couple of people in property. Started building big flats, or lots of flats and stuff like that. Then a recession came and killed us. And the Clydesdale Bank basically on a Friday says you've got 5 days to pay back all your money.
Right. So you were one of the ones that lost everything?
We lost everything, completely everything. Cerberus took all stock, and we decided to just give everything back. We just went, fuck it.
Can't pay it, yeah.
But one of the guys we were involved with, that we were doing the work for, that was giving us like tips and stuff like that, he owns nightclubs, again, he owns hundreds of property. I actually live right next to him now. He's a good friend, but he's an older guy. He sued Royal Bank of Scotland and Clydesdale Bank, and he just this year he's won his case at Clydesdale Bank, and he's got about 6.5 million back.
Wow. It's quite. I mean, that's a result. I mean, you don't hear that often, but it's a familiar story when we speak to the generation that were involved in that time. I can think of the guests that we've had involved: Ross Harper. Kessel Salimi, his family lost everything.
I know his
Susan
family
as well. Yeah.
Aye, so it's quite a familiar thing that happened.
I think that's why a lot of people now are a bit reserved.
Yeah.
Like if they've not had their fingers burnt or they don't know what it's like. I think when you've got all your eggs in one basket and you're literally borrowing on top of borrowing, and like you've not really.
How did it affect you? I suppose mentally, like going.
But I was young enough that it didn't really
just water off the duck's back almost.
Effectively, I thought it's not that bad. Like it's not going to get that worse or whatever. And to be honest, I didn't really have that much money because everything was
in the assets.
It was all borrowed.
So that was like, I mean, you'd obviously hadn't learned how to do property on YouTube and courses and stuff like that. So that was just basically through your circle of people. Was it through?
I didn't know if YouTube was there.
Was it through your dad or something like that? With his friends
my dad had nothing. My dad hated, like, really. He was just fucking old school. just publican, just drink, and so just no, I didn't even know. When I spoke to my dad, he'd had a mortgage for 25 years. Do you know what I mean?
So who was it then?
So it was a guy.
Interest?
So it was a guy. The electrician I was working with at the time, Gary Hancock. He's now overseas. Me and him were doing work for a guy, Charlie Scaberos, who was building massive houses in Newton Mearns and Thornton Hall at the time. He was buying houses at 250 grand back then, demolishing them, building houses at £1 million. You go back 20 years ago. We done it for that woman, the Bra woman, can't remember her name, Michelle Moore. So we built her house and all that. So it was just being around them, talking to them, seeing what they were doing. And then me and Gary were like, you'd see a house in East Kilbride for 30k and it needed like bathroom, kitchen, rewired, boiler. We're like, let's just do it and flip it. Like, let's see what money we get. Then people were like, just keep it, rent it out and do it again next year. It'll go up 10%. The thing was it would go up 10% every year. So we worked out every 7 to 8 years we'll get our money back. We can, by that stage, we'll keep doing it. So done that. But it killed us.
And then after that, did you just sit out of property then after it lost everything? Did you just put that aside? I'm not doing that again.
I kept one flat because it was in kind of my name and my house that I lived in, but both of them plummeted. I had the house mortgaged up at 250k. It would drop to about 140 grand. My flat that I had in East Kilbride, I had that ticked up to about 85 and it dropped to about 45, 50, one bed. Like, it was horrendous. And it's only just now that they've actually...
You still got that one? The East Kilbride dies?
I still got both of them, and they are now just at that stage where they've...
What are you doing now in property? Because obviously you're making all these millions in Quinnergy. Like, you've got to be investing it somewhere, mate. So
I don't know about that.
So you ramped up your property investing game again?
So, yeah, I'm involved with a couple of people. Somebody you know, a private kind of funder, and my best friend, Richard. But it's commercial.
What he's doing?
Just basically commercial. Buying cheap commercial units, completely off market. Through connections, like because we're all around East End all the time and know everyone.
And you get some amount of connections with it because everybody knows you, or you know everybody.
I think that's what. See, when you're young, when you get yourself out there and you talk to people and you provide for people and you don't be a dick. Like you literally stop. Don't try and like do somebody for like 50 quid or 100 quid. Build a relationship. Do things for nothing. Help people out. You end up building great connections that last forever. And my pal Richard, we had connections when we were young, when it was through the car trade and car washes. And then I went abroad after that recession thing happened. I went abroad and worked overseas because I needed to get away and wanted to make money and stuff like that. So I did that, and I lost a lot of my friends and connections.
Just by working away and
working away, like in Afghan and Iraq, you don't have mobiles, you don't have. You would get a Paradigm call every couple of weeks. And it'd be phoning friends and like your real family, if you're not really friends. So kind of did that. So you lost all your connections, and I thought that'll be me forever. And then I'll go and work offshore and worked in the North Sea for a while and had this new life, but I hated it. I just hated it. So
and is the plan with building up the commercial property, is that just obviously for you to have a little bit of a nest egg when you come to winding things down eventually in the business,
So effectively, I'm on a small part of that, right? What my pal has is huge, and he effectively buys shops around about 15 to 50 grand, and it's all cash, buying it cash, and then just literally refurbing it, renting it out to people we know, and then keeping it going. We bought this yard in Tollcross.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
So we're probably going to finance that now.
Right.
So we bought that cash.
And was that again? Is that just through contacts that wasn't on the market, or like
just contact? Just chap the door. They want to sell.
You had a place down Straven, was it before?
Still got that.
Are you still right? Is that one that you own as well, or
so that's land that was behind property that's owned by somebody else we know, and then we built the units on the back of it with another builder. And he effectively owns his parts. We own our bit and rent it out. So it's all kind of. I don't know what's the right word for it. You use it all the time. when you join
Pivoting.
when you join up with other people.
Joint venture.
Joint ventures. That's it. So it's like joint ventures.
Right. So you kind of like do loads of joint ventures without actually really kind of pursuing it. It's just more natural because of the relationships and friendships that you built.
And like, see, if I did capitalise on some of the stuff I do, I probably would have a bit of money. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't. This is the problem. Like, I've facilitated about 7 letting agent sales this year, and I've pocketed no money, like nothing.
Don't set any my way. I'm looking to get one.
Well, maybe I know there is a very small one.
Good.
And it's in
Talk
your area.
about that later, man.
But. And it's not even meant to who you would think they would go to. They've actually went to bigger clients. But what that's doing is, we had that work with the letting agents. If they went to another letting agent, we might have lost that work.
Aye.
So you can facilitate, you can keep that business in Quinnergy.
So went to our clients that we're doing a lot of work for, and that's why it stays that way. And how a lot of this is coming about as well is letting agents or solicitors and even finance people are asking us to go out and have a look at all these properties for the sale. So they want to make sure they're compliant, they're in good condition, all that kind of stuff. So we're getting asked to do things that are totally away from what we usually do, like looking at RCD stuff, looking at condition of properties, making sure everything is, the EICRs are legit, the gas safeties are legit, they've not just been done last week and the properties are shithole. Do you know what I mean?
So you've probably been in a lot of the properties as well, because like you're this is what I love about Craig, right? Because like, although you're the owner of the company and you've got this big scale now, you're out on the tools and you're in there. Like the other night he was doing a cert for me at like 9 o'clock at night because we had the tenant moving in the next day. Something had happened, like they hadn't managed to get hold of it.
A guy was off sick. The flu's hit everyone in the last couple of weeks, so we had quite a lot, and it turns everything upside down. So I knew Nick had somebody moving in, so done 2 certs, I think, in a month. Then the next night I had to go and fit a hob.
That's right, aye. So he's out there.
It's like,
but
I love a hob. I love it.
Aye, I get that impression that somebody will always say, if you want to grow your business, you need to be that business development in the office and manage the staff. But I didn't see that from you. But you've got that skill.
I mean, I do take a lot of that on board from other people. Like I do take advice from other people about you need to be looking from outside. But
surely it's what you enjoy. You're not creating the business to sit. If you don't like sitting in an office.
That's what I do enjoy. But also, it keeps me in front of Nick and all the other clients. Like if I can tell Nick, we've got an issue with this job and this is what it is, and it's relatable, we can talk about it, we can find a solution. Where if I'm not out there all the time, it's literally all I'm looking at is processes and how we do things. And that's what we are losing. The bigger we get is because every member of staff now are just following unique processes. Do you know what I mean? And you're losing that touch. So,
but you need to get that, I suppose, to scale.
You do to a certain degree. This is why I'm always out and about, because then all the stuff I put online, I put on our group chats, we talk to the guys about it, we show them all. Like I was in a property the other day there, doing an EICR and smoke alarms, but the bath seal was totally wrecked and somebody was moving in. Right. They didn't know it. I don't know if they knew anything about it. So I took a video of it and they were like, oh my God, is there any chance you can get that fixed? Siliconed it, done and dusted, do you know what I mean? So, but so you need to try and transverse that to all your members of staff, and that is the hardest thing.
Yeah. I feel like I know quite a lot about your business anyway, because you were very honest and transparent when you were doing the Scottish Business Syndicate podcast, and which I really enjoyed, by the way. It's a shame that you didn't continue with them. But anyway, like, you went into a lot of detail there, and it was just so valuable to likes myself who's in the process of trying to scale up a business as well, taking on staff, the issues you have, the day-to-day challenges. You made the decision, obviously, to get somebody in. You must be paying them a decent salary because they're pretty much running the business now. How is that working out for you?
Very well. Like, very well. The only problem is that it's been like a big sledgehammer's went into the business and kind of rustled up a lot of feathers. There's been a lot of changes, been a lot of people sadly away from the company now, but a lot of new faces coming in, a lot of new things happening. We changed bank account, we took all our accounts back in-house. Honestly, the changes we've done, we've got this new software, which has made us reduce efficiencies with people. We had really good software before, but this new software is like, wow. So now we can get rid of people because we've brought stuff like this in. So it's been very good, but it's been a challenge for me.
How did you feel? Because I've got the mindset, I'm quite a control freak. Like, I like to know what's going on. I need to jump into things. And I'm not given the flexibility and the handing the reins over to the staff. Do you a bit like that as well? Like, how does that?
Yes and no. I mean, it gets easier the more you kind of do it. The problem is what happens is you let go, and then you go, fuck, I need to pull a bit more back in, and then it's harder to pull it back in.
Right.
And then when you realise it's all the way out there, and you can't, it's actually not that bad. See, when you actually just realise that everything's all right.
Aye.
Ultimately,
if there's a problem, the good thing is that you know, I've got your number. Like, if there really is a problem that's not getting sorted, which
I
know that I can always phone you, and you know.
But you can phone Rob as well now.
Rob
actually fixes the problems better than what I do. I'll just tell you, I'll get this done now.
Yeah.
Rob will tell you how he's going to do it and why it happened and how it'll not happen again and all this kind of stuff. And that's the difference. Is like, because I'm out and about, I'm just a middleman between the office and you. Do you know what I mean? Where Rob's in the office.
Was Rob the big hire, the one that you
yeah.
What's his position then?
So he's effectively
like an MD or
operations director kind of thing. He's not on the company like shares as such yet. He's got things that he needs, targets he needs to get to, and then but he will be part of.
What was the decision to go in that direction then? Was it?
It came out of the blue. Rob was effective an operations director for the second biggest letting agent in the UK.
Oh.
So he was big. And he had brought me in for a meeting to talk about us taking over all their compliance, and talked it in his head. He had where we wanted to go. When we were talking, I was already taking him to that place without him asking any questions. So he was like, fuck, you're on a different level where what you do as a company and the ideas you have and how you can help us is what ideas I kind of had in my head, but I didn't know how to find it or where it was. And then not long after, so he was brought in by the investor who was buying all these letting agents, right? They were putting them all together in a big organisation. He was actually working for him direct to make the company run better. He says, my time's going to be up here and I don't see myself being in a position I want to be in. But I tell you what, I reckon I can take your company to the next level. If you're interested, let's have a chat. That's what we did.
See your business, it does fascinate me, and I have kind of looked at it and stuff like that in terms of, like, you know, you've just talked about the turnover and that, and I'm thinking, but he's got that much expenses, the vans, the staff. You've now got the operations director and stuff like that. What are the margins? Like, that's what I was going to ask. Like, you know,
the margins are tiny, especially when you're talking about going and doing lead testing and making 10 quid or something on it, and going checking all these RCDs, and like, we had a guy off sick there for 3 months. He hurt himself, nothing to do with work, but he had 4 children. Paid him for 3 months, full pay. It really, really affected us, But our margins are, like, on certificates, our margins are probably about 20%, 25%. But if you think of the amount of failures we get, like keys not working, tenants not in. I've been to 2 this morning, right? And one was in, the other one wasn't.
The time resource, the time spent following up appointments, rearranging.
But then talking to you to say, by the way, we didn't get in there.
Aye.
Or you saying, by the way, I'm still waiting on this cert. Why has this not been done?
Yeah.
And we're like, we've tried so many times.
Logistically as well, it must be a nightmare. I mean, how do you keep track of guys? How do you know that people are not taking the piss and all that?
This is what all our software is good for. So software tracks our guys, tracks the vans, and actual tracks the software. So it tells us exactly how many keystrokes the people are doing, when they're opening the job, when they're arriving at the job. It'll give live updates to the tenants. It'll give live updates to you now. We can switch different things on. So all our software deals with that. We built our own software, which was a bit like a delivery company. With when you give us all our jobs, we put it in and it kind of schedules our postcodes. But then you've got to overlap that with when tenants want you to come or when you're collecting keys. The biggest thing we have just now is keys, because tomorrow I'm in Edinburgh, right? So keys I'm collecting today, I've had to go to Johnston to go and pick up a set of keys this morning to do a job in Airdrie, right? This morning, and then I went to a job in Motherwell and the tenant wasn't in. So I need to go all the way back to Johnson to take the keys back to then go to Edinburgh tomorrow, because I can't take the keys back tomorrow because I'll be in Edinburgh. That's the logistics we have all the time.
What sort of mileage do you do in your? So say for an annual average annual mileage would be like 12,000 a year or something like that.
Am I allowed to say this? So between my 3 cars, I'm about 150,000 a year.
That's some good mileage. Like
That's just personal.
You're all over the place. Like, see when you follow him on Instagram stories, right? He's down in like Berwick upon Tweed, then he's in like Renfrewshire or something like in the same day, and then you're like, how do you get that?
For me, it doesn't bother me, right? But it bothers a lot of the guys. Like, I can go to Edinburgh and go and do a couple of jobs, and then go to Glasgow and do a couple of, and then go to Greenock and still be home for 5 or 6. But it's all about like just going and doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of guys will sit and go, oh man, and look at my day, I need to do that, and they're worrying about it before it's even happened. And to be honest, that's what's been happening to me the last couple of weeks. Like, I'm worrying about things before they've even happened, because the problems now are magnitude. Everything's getting bigger. Like, going back to when I was in business, when I had a car wash, I had a mobile van, then a couple of mobile vans, then I had a static site. The money we were generating was like footballers' money. Way back in the day, it was brilliant, with no stress, nothing. Like,
now there's got to be massive stress. Like
massive stress.
Talking about cars, are you guys wanting a wee chat about cars? While we're here?
Absolutely. Always, mate. I've seen some of Craig's collection.
I love old classic cars. And to be fair, I've probably made more money in cars in the last 3 or 4 years than I have with anything else.
You must spend a lot on the car sort of hobby, surely. Like,
it's like, I don't know if Sarah's listening to this. But it's the same as anything. Like, how much do you put in a property when you're doing a refurb? It's all scaled on what you want the car to be. If it's going to be your own car, or if it's going to be something that you're turning up to sell when the season comes in to sell it at auctions. There's the car trade, again, when it comes to classics and buying, selling, there's a whole thing that how to do it. Do you know what I mean? Even with supercars.
What's your dream? Like, do you have a dream car, or have you got to point?
GT3 RS.
See, I knew that.
GT3 RS. Is that a Ford?
It's a Vauxhall.
It sounds like I'm kind of reminiscing here back to my kind of teenage years. It sounds
Novas.
Sounds familiar.
He's thinking about his XR3.
Oh, that's not. Well, I'm not on the right track here. No. I'm all right. Okay.
So a Porsche GT3 RS is like, I think you don't have that status of you're a bit of a knob.
Oh, you're talking about a Porsche now? Oh, right. No, I'm thinking that I'm
and
well
what
off
you're talking about making money in cars, there's a guy that lives locally to me, and he's always had a GT3s, brand new. Next minute I see him up in Aberdeen, and fucking, you're like, that's 90 grand more than less. And you're like, Jesus Christ. He got the GT3 RS. Turns out he manages one of Porsche Carrera Cups racing teams.
Oh, right.
And the money they're making on fucking cars, like, I think list it was what, 19.
Even a 200 depending on spec and all that.
They were about 600 grand.
Like, they've took a massive drop.
They've took a massive hit. Well, when I say a massive hit, you're still making a couple of grand.
And the EVs, I know a guy that's got a Porsche Taycan that's lost 100 G's in a year.
So like, the reason why because I thought you were like talking about older cars, because I see
older cars. Sorry,
I see like you with your trailers and all that, and you go up to Knockhill and all that, and you have all these kind of like.
So I've always back in the day when we had the car washes, we always had causes, Sarah causes, even when we were young, because you could buy them for 3, 4, 5 grand, and they were all rotten. And
no,
I know. I mean, I used to scrap them for 40 quid to go out at the weekend, like genuine.
And sitting at what, 90, 100 grand for them now?
Some Escorts are 100. Some Sierras are between 100 and 200.
Jesus.
Some are obviously a lot less. It depends if they're actual collectors or like some of our stuff are like 10 owner cars, 15 owner cars, but we've got an Escort that's only a 2 owner car, which is completely original. The only thing that holds it back is it's a small turbo instead of a bigger. It's a bigger turbo instead of a small turbo. So it's a facelift model, and I don't know why, but people like the other one. So
I've got to say, like, when I speak to you guys, I do genuinely think, do you know what, that's your passion. The passion is coming through. Yeah. So for somebody to kind of like, you know how you get these people on Instagram and all that, and it's pictures of fancy cars and all that, and you think, really, how much enjoyment are you actually getting out of that? Is that just for everybody else's enjoyment?
I'll be honest, right? Supercars are great, right? You jump in them, And I'm telling you, within half an hour or an hour, you take it back and you throw your keys in the house the exact same way you throw your keys for any other car. It does get to a stage where it becomes a big expense. Now, if you can afford to buy it and sit with it, you're not paying interest and you're not paying the maintenance bills all the time, then it's good. Now, we made a bit of money on a McLaren because we bought it at the right time and sold it at the right time. But their days are kind of gone unless you're going down the route of like a GT3 or some sort of special G-Wagon or something that you're buying. You're on the waiting list and you've been allowed to get it. And then you can sell it on kind of thing. But it's hard selling it on as well. People think that it's easy.
It's funny that when you saying that though, because I'm going to start doing our house and not doing the garage and build annex, and the thing that's fucking holding the back's a car sitting there. And I was like, I'll sell it. But my plan was to always have a 911 before I turned 40 in June. So I just keep it to June. I'm going to do a European trip and then sell it. But I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, I'd probably get as much enjoyment because I'm a driver. I love driving hard and driving fast. I'd probably get more enjoyment out of driving the Focus RS that was tuned.
Exactly. That's the way to look at it. That is, honestly. And then it's the same when I went to start doing racing at Knockhill. Everyone's like, I had a big fancy Evo. It was like 800 horsepower and it was it was honestly like tuned to the moon. And it was, I was £600 in front brake pads just for every track day. It was about £500-600 in fuel. It was bonkers, but nothing came anywhere near me. But then I was like, it cost a fortune every time. So I bought a cheap Clio. And we done 16 track days in 1 year, and it was the best fun we ever had because we all had Clios. So it was
it's competitive now, isn't it?
Yeah,
you're tanning everything.
It's the same with a supercar. You go to a car meet, right? There's going to be somebody there with a better car, and you're like, I've put all this effort, all this money, and somebody's going to be a better car. And as I said, once you've drove that supercar, that's gone. As soon as you drive it for the first time, the bubble has burst. So an old retro car, see if you take a Sierra out or an Escort or something like that, see the amount of people that come and talk to you genuinely, like, oh, I love them, I had one of them back in the day and it's brilliant, and that means more than, I don't know, somebody snidery, like looking at you going, look at that arsehole in that fancy car. You know what I mean? So
talking about fancy cars, bringing it back a wee bit here, because I'm totally lost now.
He's gone,
So like bringing it back a wee bit, fancy cars, property education.
Oh, no.
Got to talk about that because I know you could get going on a wee rant here, Craig. So because I've heard you talking about another podcast that used to be one of those guys
with the Mike Gwinnett. I was on Mike Gwinnett.
No, but used to be one of those guys that would go on and like basically slate people that did property education.
No,
you said that to Billy Farrell, did you not?
Yeah, no. So what I did is I slagged people who were like showcasing not real and true things.
I'm that guy, isn't it?
Aye, it's not about the courses and stuff like that. It's more about the way that it comes across, or
marketed,
how it's marketed, and who they're trying to target. And a lot of people are just after the money for the courses and not actually trying to help somebody, right? So there's people out there that have not done anything with property, or like they've done a wee bits and bobs, but they're now educating people on how to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Digital marketers is what I call them, and they're very good at it. They're very good salespeople, very good digital. There's a guy that I follow, no names because we'll end up in a court battle or we'll end up getting sued or something like that. And we want to keep this podcast going. It's been 4 years now, so we want to keep it going another 4 years. Don't want to be shut down. Anyway, people who will listen to this will know straight away who I'm talking about. So a guy I follow, right, he was a property investor, young guy, fancy cars, fancy lifestyle, big following. And now he doesn't talk about property anymore. It's just social media. So it's social media and business, and it's a course.
But that's good though. I respect that. Like I respect the skill set.
So this is the thing. Like, are we angry with him as a person because he's good at what he does, or are we angry because of the game that's going about?
I'm angry when my 12-year-old son comes to me and goes...
That's what I'm angry about. I'm angry at the fact that I know two people that have took their own life because they've got themselves into issues, because they've been misled, or they've had the wrong education, to say, so to speak, do you know what I mean, at the wrong time, where they've gave up and everything, and they've piled credit cards and money, and they've piled themselves with worry and debt, and that's what I worry about.
These people have got a huge amount of influence as well.
Exactly, on our young,
that's the problem. On our young people, on our kids.
Because I guarantee, right, I don't need to go and see Stephen to get help with property, but I guarantee if I was to sit with him for an hour, he would teach me things that I don't know. Whether I need to know them or not is a story. Whether I need to pay to get that information is the next. But what I'm saying is you'll learn something off of everybody all the time. It's what you do with that after that is the kind of problem that we have. And as you said, younger people don't have the education or they don't have the mindset to take on what you're telling them.
I think it's what's bothering me about the whole way that's sold now is it's almost fucking making the normality that we all grew up with. What, you're not that good at school, go and get a trade, go and learn like that's no longer cool on Instagram.
I know.
Or go and go to university and become whatever. It's almost like Instagram or the social media reality is taking a bit. My fucking daughter wants to become a YouTuber at 7.
Exactly.
Or what's the get rich quick or this easy route, and it's like they're playing on this kind of young weak.
The whole easy route thing and the whole doing it quick and
it's fucking
getting in and getting
work.
out it works for a lot of people, or maybe it works for a small amount of people, but it doesn't work for the majority.
Yeah.
So now that it's like, you know, they've got to be the entrepreneurs and they've got to be the hustlers and all the rest of it. And you're like, we get them coming through our network all the time.
So by the way, see, I've watched this, right? I've seen so many sourcers over the years, over the last 2 or 3 years. We even at that event we were at, like, at 10, just pick 10 sourcers from 2 years ago and tell me where they are just now.
And it's a shame because they're brand new. These people are like really decent, like nice young guys. Girls, you don't get many of them. It's quite interesting that most of them are young male.
Aye, because they're following young male influencers or older male influencers that are...
Or maybe just women are smarter and they're seeing the bullshit behind it.
See when I say my
pessimistic old cunts.
when I say to my missus, right, I'm going to do this or do that. Like I remember, like when we were going through a kind of teething problem with Quinnergy, I was like, I'm going to do more drop shipping. I used to do a wee bit of that ages ago when it first came out. Because I've watched this video and do this. I'm going to do this with Amazon, and she's like, shut the fuck up.
She was right.
Just go and work.
She was right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and for me, right, is I prefer providing the spades for the gold rush rather than being in that gold rush, because I've been burnt too many times with certain things that I would rather not have all my eggs in one basket when it comes to it properly, especially like refinancing and borrowing on top of borrowing and using other people's money. I don't feel comfortable with that. I would the thing is, I'm probably in the best situation to do that. The amount of people I know, it would be in a way, I don't know how to do it, and I don't know how to do it in a way that I feel it's ethical,
comfortable with.
Is that not one of the reasons where, like, I mean, we'll edit this if you need to, but one of the reasons why you came away from the business syndicate setup, because you were going to go down a route of some sort of mentorship or something like that?
It was hard. It was like, I mean, I like Billy. Like, Billy's a great person, and I loved what we had with the Scottish Syndicate. But the problem was it was coming too much for me, and I didn't know where to take it. I wanted to just keep helping people, and when we were talking about, like, we'll bring people in and have them in a small desk and try and help them develop their business. But when it actually came down to it, I was like, I actually don't know how to help people. Like, I can only give my experiences, but I don't feel that I have the right experience or education or even the ability to give that back to somebody. And then it was like,
do you feel given, like, coming on podcasts, having chats, going to networking events?
I think that's better than we were going to go with this. And it was more like we were trying to sell more tickets and make it bigger. And
part of the problem it is with it as well is that you're too transparent as well, and you're too honest, right? So people come on, you'll basically, they're coming on thinking, this guy, like, I can be like him in a couple of years' time, and you're going to come on and say, guys, this is just hard work, basically, right? This is why he is not as successful in property education as he could be.
He's too honest.
Because he's too honest.
But I think that will travel longer.
Yeah.
That will travel longer. As you said, the people you're talking about just now, what they're doing now, right? You're still here, and you're still doing what you're doing. You're adding value. Do you know what I mean?
I'm a nightmare for it, and I kick myself for it, because I know that I'm going to provide the fucking goods. I know I'm going to give the good value, but I'll go on the call to somebody and I'll just hear little snippets of weak mentality or something like that, where it's like they're looking for this quick win. I'm like, mate, you're not. It's not suitable for you. But it's not. It's full. You're not getting a space. And I'll fucking hang up the collar or say you're not getting on. And they're like, I'm like, that's $2,000 fucking sale. I'm saying no to. But I'd fit to say that to then have somebody come on that's not going to put the effort.
I like how you like when I've looked at your stuff and the value of it and the money. Like in my head, when we were talking about doing this with the table, it's like we're charging £1,200 or $2,000. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like somebody's going to pay this? Like this is. But then when you actually work out how much effort goes in it, all the organisation of it, setting up the table, setting up everything, it actually works out that there's not actually a lot of money in it for the people that are providing it.
No, nah.
And I get that now, but I didn't get that when I used to slag everyone.
I think we're all on the same wavelength here. Ultimately, it's not the proper education that we're slagging here. It's the people who are selling the dream and the kind of people that are getting misled basically down this path.
I mean, I remember listening to one of them and it was going on and it was showing like fucking. It wasn't at one of your events, right? But talking about bought the property, did this, done that, made $60,000, and in my head I'm like, no, you didn't. You borrowed that on a bridge, a high interest on that. You've not put any of your fees in. Your tax at the back end of it.
Oh, yes.
Everything all the way through. I'm like, there's maybe, I don't know, $20,000 in that, and it took you 18 months. Like,
do a couple of rewires if you're a Sparky.
Effectively, our numbers, our teams are probably making, but I don't know, I should say this, but a good amount of money each day, right?
Oh, I nearly had it. I nearly let it slip.
So I'll tell you what, our labour rate, we need to hit $8,000 a day.
Wow.
On labour.
No.
All right,
That's, but I almost touched on that earlier on. Like that must be a pressure. It must be a stress.
It's
like,
massive because if you have jobs that don't go to plan, it all feeds in. I mean, today 4 people phoning in late, sick.
Yeah.
Trackers are pinging. Guys have not started their vans on time.
Because you were mentioning earlier about the previous businesses running the car wash, and then we spoke briefly about cars there. Where do you see the direction going? Would it be something less easier going, I can make as much money playing with cars than I can?
I'll be honest, it'll probably be property overseas.
Yeah.
It'll probably be, we've got a wee place in Spain. It's not mine, but we're involved in it. And
nice,
we're just about to buy another one.
Holiday rental. Like
you looked really relaxed in those videos when you were out there. I've got to say, like, you must have loved that. Honestly, did you just switch off? It looked like you just switched off.
It does, I mean, it's just bliss.
But whereabouts is that in Spain?
It's in Murcia.
Ah, nice.
But the thing is, right, is like it's nothing fancy, but it's not. I'm not fucking going to Dubai, millions of pounds. Yeah. We're in Murcia, right? It's not even Marbella. Aye. Well, 24 quid.
Aye.
Return flights.
Brilliant.
Do you know what I mean? And they'll rent out the same as what they will rent out in Marbella and different things. So that's where we'll probably go. I'll look to exit the company either by sell or by selling off parts of it all the way through, or letting Rob run it and I just take a wage. Same with Sarah. Sarah will probably sell out in the next 5 to 10 years, and that's where we'll head out.
Talking about social media, we need to talk social media, because one of the reasons why I think you're so powerful and your brand's so powerful is because of the videos and the day-to-day and the storytelling and all the rest of it, and it builds up that personal connection. You know, I know your wife's called Sarah, I know your son's called Quinn. Do you know what I mean? I know I don't know your dog's name actually.
Charlie.
I see your dogs.
Charlie and Bonnie.
I know you like house music, I know you go to Murcia. You know what I mean? All these things build up a picture, and that's the reason why you're probably so well known, and because people have that. I like Craig, he does a good job and he's honest with his business, and I'll give him the business
and like giving that bit of connection.
So how has that been for you in terms of, like, you know, the growth of the business? Has that been instrumental? Like, do you kind of contribute a lot of that
so social media for us does nothing, right? Except gives really trust, awareness, and it helps build the brand, right? So that's all it really does for us. Like, you don't come to us because you've seen us on Instagram.
So it's not cold leads. It's not like it's building up.
Our Facebook ads, when we turn them on, they work very, very well. But the problem is we're too big and too busy. We actually can't cope with any leads. We actually genuinely can't cope with leads coming in, like inquiries coming in. It really messes us up because the staff are so finely tuned on dealing with yous, with work orders and stuff like this. When a private person comes in, I need this looked at, the radiator, and it's an actual nightmare. I mean, so we actually can't cope with leads. other than the subscriptions, that's where we're going to really push, is in monthly subscriptions for homeowners and landlords. But when we're going back to the social media, is like when we go into a client and we start talking about how we're going to do what they then maybe start looking at the social media and see it. And the best advice I can do with social media is you need to be on it all the time, because it makes you remember why you're using it and who to keep using. I know you'll have people chanting your door all the time. I'll go and do your EICRs, I'll do your gas safeties, and they will be cheaper and they might be even better. But the problem is that one person will let you down in 2 weeks' time or a month's time, or they'll fuck up and they don't have somebody to back them up. And then they'll say, I'll get my pal to go and do the gas, and then the pal doesn't turn up. We are simple. We do provide that, like,
simplicity.
And it's done and dusted. Yeah, there might be wee issues on the line. Yeah, it might be £10 dearer or £50 dearer, but we're very true with our costs. We're very true, very transparent. And why I'm always on social media is it reminds everyone that we're still there.
And there's only one. You've got whatever 20-something guys, right? But there's only one person that can do the videos better than you. Kaelan. I've got to give a shout out to Kaelan, because he actually was doing the videos, I think, before you were. Because I don't think you put your face on it until a bit later.
I was just dead embarrassed. I put my face on social media. I had no confidence, like genuinely had no confidence. Didn't want to speak. I had struggled speaking. Like, I know it might not come across now, but being dyslexic, I didn't get into this. I've actually got Asperger's, right? So this was diagnosed well later on in life, all because of like family members and my son and stuff like that. Realising I have Asperger's and it get diagnosed, that, and one of those traits is you always need to try and please people. Like, it's really difficult if I'm not giving you exactly what you need. And I kind of go in myself. See, when I've not got the confidence, I can't talk. I'm all right in good wee groups, and I'm getting better at it, but I really struggle to sometimes say words. I don't know how things come out the wrong way. So it was really difficult for me. So I thought when I started to do social media, people will take the piss out of me. And that's one of the things that has been Asperger's, you cannot cope with. And see, the more you do it, and the more people slag you or the more people praise you, it actually makes you better. So you'd end up doing it more. So I really struggled to do it face to face or even showcasing my work, because I thought, they'll look at that and that socket squint, or he's not tested that circuit right, he's an arse. Like, but now I just showcase everything and I'm putting more of my face on. But Kaelan was the first person to start actually doing his face. And to be honest, if it wasn't for him showing me how confident he is at doing it, I probably wouldn't have done it.
Kaelan for 50% shares in the Quinnergy. I love Kaelan. I'm like a big fan of him.
But Kaelan worked for Equis in an ice cream in a freezer. An ice cream in a freezer. Like the big freezers. Hated his job. I gave his pal Martin a job, who was in a really bad way of depression, and he transformed his life. And Kaelan messaged me to say, you've changed my life, my best friend's life. If you ever need somebody to do this, this and this, then I'm your man. And I said, I don't need any of that, but do you know what? Come in and have a talk. And that's how Kaelan came on board.
Have you ever been busted by anybody at Starbucks for putting on your wee Q stickers on
I just done it this morning. So
have you seen these?
I've seen one fucking the other day in Burger King. I was in a Burger King. I think it's a Burger King.
So guys, we need to explain to listeners, because again they'll be like, what?
So I was actually, they're in my jacket. I brought some in here. I was going to try and plaster them all over there, but it's not your podcast room, so I couldn't do that.
You've got your fucking case.
So the wee Q,
so it's a metal Q.
Magnetic or sticky?
No, sticky. It's got a 3M tape on it. So we got a machine. We got a mould made. It was like 500 quid way back to get like 100 done. Now it's cheap because we've got the mould. And Ross got it for our vans and cars. He wanted to debadge all the cars and then just put the Q on them. And I just didn't like it. And then one day, I seen a sticker on, I can't remember what it was. I don't know what it was, but anyway, I was like, fuck that, I'm just going to put a Q over that. Put a Q over it. And the next day, somebody'd seen it, then tagged it, and I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to keep doing this. And we bought 1,000 of them. But we've now done in about 4,000 metal Qs.
And it's become a thing, because other tradesmen and all that, you see them out and they see the Q and that. No, but they obviously post it on their stories and tag you.
I think on the back of it, what I did to push the social media on the brand was, if you see our van, tag it in the location and tag us in it, and you'll get a free pizza. And done really well at the start, then it became
until you're losing a fortune on
fortune,
free pizzas.
Domino's.
January was £2,200 1 month to buy pizzas. That was for people and staff, and it wasn't until Amy went, do you know how much that all was? It was £2,000.
Then you had to go to frozen pizzas.
Then I was like, do you know
to go
what?
to Iceland.
So then hundreds of people were doing it, and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to kid on, I didn't see it. But that was something that catapulted the brand.
Yeah.
Like, just doing stupid things like that. But also what we were doing in the background is we were posting those pictures on Google, right? So Google Business.
Yeah.
And we just looked, one of the pictures that we had at a monument where the van was, has had 2.5 million views in 4 weeks.
Wow. What's been your most kind of viral, do you know, video or one of the most... What about the key boxes in Edinburgh recently? That was
Went viral. So there's been a couple of videos that's went viral I've had to remove because like it was in one that was an empty property, and it was like there was a shower in the cupboard. Don't know if you remember seeing that one.
Right.
But at 2.5 million views in a day.
See the thing is,
The client
right?
asked me to take it down because the person who owned the property
That's
didn't
it.
like it.
That's the kind of you've got to watch. I mean, I had a conversation with you, but
I know, and we've talked about this, but I don't show a lot.
and it's a shame because because I'm a nosy bastard, I actually like looking in people's properties.
I know,
but I had to say I'm not in any of ours,
No,
please, because
please.
it comes back on us basically. If
so
it's a tenant.
the reason I wanted to do that is to showcase landlords, tenants, and people how their properties are being used and what we have to come in when we're working. Because it's not like we're going in and it's a clean house.
But it's entertaining as well.
Aye,
It is quite. But at somebody else's expense.
and we did one that was a messy house, and it, unfortunately the guy had issues, and I done a video on it, and it did go quite viral. But we actually went back to clean the guy's house.
Right. It's a kind of...
We didn't tell the client, done nothing. We arranged it with the guy. 5 hours went back. We wiped his house clean, and we actually gave him a job for 2 weeks, and we built him back up. Older guy, he loves it. I've actually been back to his house just recently, and the house is immaculate.
Right. So it's more on the kind of empty proproperties now that you do, or changeover of tenancies or something?
It's really difficult because we need to try and showcase what we do.
Aye.
Yeah. And it's hard. I'm struggling to showcase like the testing when I'm on my own because you need both hands, and it's difficult to video while you're working. So, and I don't have the money to always have video guys running about with us. You know what I mean? So,
and what about hate? Any good hate that you've had, or anybody try to sue you or anything like that? No.
Aye. So I'll tell. Have we got time to go into
Couple of minutes, mate. We'll wrap up on this one.
We did work for a big housing association, and it was down south, and we did testing for them. And 2 years later, there was a house fire, and it was a hot water cylinder. It was all electric hot water cylinder, and the connections were loose at the hot water cylinder. Now you need to get the hot water cylinder checked every year. Nobody does this, right? It's a bit like a gas safety. You get it checked, they're unvented. But basically, what happens is the element had been changed, and the cable had been changed, and this carry on. The EICR was 2.5 years old. They took me to court for 2.5 million because it was a high-rise flat, flooded the flats below, and honestly, it was horrendous. But we got out of it because, again, we took pictures. We had pictures of the readings. We had everything all in clay. We had a picture of the hot water cylinder and the element and the cable, and it was different.
So you got fined not guilty?
We got away with it. So we've had that, and then we've had a bit of hate. You get a lot of people that just call you out.
Well, I would imagine because see that whole trades group as well. I've seen it with other tradesmen, right? Because they're posting, I follow a guy who does like rewiring or something like that, and you get all these like other sparks jumping on.
Right,
and they're like scrutinising every single cable going in every single socket and all that.
But that's what helps build the engagement in it. And to be honest, a lot of the trades that follow me are actually quite respectful, and I'm quite respectful to them. But I do know that there's a lot goes on in the background with trades.
People mouthing and just...
I think because I've been honest from the start. I started with nothing, like a shitty old van. So that relates to a lot of people that have been out self-employed, and they all think nowadays a lot of people are quite respectful for what you've achieved. Where I think before they would be wanting to pull you down. Like I know you'll get like fucking shitloads of hate because you're up there. Do you know what I mean? But I only, even last night, I put a video on yesterday, and a lot of people have said, you know what, like that's helped me a lot. I've been wanting to give up, and I'm not going to now. And people saying it's inspiring to see that you've started from nothing and you've got to some now. It's pushing me to go. Do you know what I mean? So you don't realise where everybody is in their own wee personal journeys, and I think you just need to always.
I see a lot of things
that.
in what you do is you get a lot of satisfaction in helping people as well. Though.
Yeah, definitely.
I like
but
that.
I think that's part of my condition.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You've got to help people and please people. So I'm much happier when I see you smiling and you say, "Baby, thanks very much. You've helped me out." I don't care if you've made 10 grand on the back of it. Like I don't. It's not about making any money for me. It's more about projecting a status and providing support for people and my family. Do you know what I mean? And when that gets affected, that's when I start to go down.
Well, we also like to make money as well because you've got a car addiction to feed as well. So, like, do you know what I mean? So, listen, Craig, it's been brilliant
thank you.
having you in. A transparent, honest chat is what we like to get on the podcast here. And I think that's exactly what we've got from you, sharing numbers about your business and all that. I mean, fantastic. Where can people reach out to you? Obviously, if you don't follow Quinnergy already, go and
hurry up and follow. We need these followers. I can strive on followers. So Instagram, TikTok. I've come off LinkedIn for a while because I changed my phone. I've lost my password. But basically, you'll find us anywhere.
It's
online.
entertaining, guys. Even if you're not into getting landlords compliance, just get in there for a bit of entertainment and a laugh sometimes. And Kaylin's definitely got to get a mention as well. So,
but thank you. And honestly, you are probably one of the only podcasts that I genuinely listen to.
Good.
All right, I'm not just saying that.
You've been on, mate. You'd have to big us up there.
No, I know. It's just the fact is you do provide a lot of value, and you do cut through a lot of the bullshit. So I need to applaud you for.
Thanks,
because
mate.
I know it's difficult showing up every week and coming up with ideas and getting people on, and you're not effectively not getting paid for this. So well done, you too.
Appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Craig.
No bother.